When people think of trains, they either think of a slow, noisy machine designed to indirectly cause personal inconvenience, or the Thomas the Tank Engine children's TV series. And because of these fairly innocuous reasons, I am constantly asked why I like trains, classic American diesel locomotives to be specific. Hold on, because I guarantee you this will be a long video. Design for me could mean two things: blueprint and paint scheme. Let's start off with the former. For this one, we have to go back in time. Diesels were cheaper to build and maintain compared to their increasingly expensive steam engine brethren. In order to sell, and sell a lot, they had to be aesthetically pleasing. As diesels became less of a fad and more mainstream, they had to be cheaper to build. That meant dropping some of the more aesthetically pleasing elements. To illustrate my point, let's look at the EMD GP series of locomotives. First with the GP9. Notice how many rounded off corners there are. Then we go on to the GP30 and then the GP38-2. Notice how many rounded corners are going away. If you can't see it, let's go back to our first example, the GP9. Focus in on the cab. I'll go back down the list. Yeah, that's a pretty clear angle. Now with my second point. Steam engines could only be painted in a few colors, and most of the time that was black. For this example, I'm going to use another pretty round engine, the Alco RS3. The railroads were now a constant stream of color. There's no doubt that diesel locomotives are cool sounding machines, whether that be the naturally aspirated growl of an Alco, the roots-blown rumble of an EMD, or the unique opposed piston clag of a Fairbanks Morse. We now jump back to modern day, where these classic engines are being used on industrial short lines. You may be asking yourself, why have these engines? Some of them are approaching 70 years old, they may be unreliable, they don't comply with emission standards, etc., etc. Since these railroads only serve a small market, they may not have enough money to spend on a brand new locomotive. And to be honest, all of these engines are in better shape than most museum locomotives just by keeping them working every day. It's far better than being in a public park, abandoned, or misfortunate of all, scrapped. And in my honest opinion, it's the best way to start railfanning. Don't be like me and start railfanning by going on a 2-track main line at 70-mile-an-hour track speeds. Especially if you have little kids around, the noise and the speed may become too overwhelming for them. You would have to be a bit more knowledgeable of the timetable or even have a friend that works for the railroad though. Show your love for railroading by going to an industrial short line near you, and thank you for watching. Happy hunting.